Hey everyone, and welcome to our first Top Drives roadmap video Q&A. My name is Caleb. I'm the marketing coordinator here on Top Drives, and I'm joined by
Dimitri, the community manager for Top Drives. And this is a follow-up video to the roadmap update that we have released last week. So we decided that we wanted to just see what your feedback is on the roadmap, because obviously you can't really have everything and every single piece on it, and surely you would have some questions. So we decided to just put this thing together and see what happens essentially. We have picked like 10, 11 questions from those that you have sent to us on Discord. So thank you very much to everyone who contributed. And let's just not waste any time really. And
Sure.
Let's go straight to the first question. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah, I'll read it to you. You can answer, as I think you have most of the answers here. This one comes from our longtime forum veteran, K. Craig, who asks, why have some of the long road trip items from the previous July 2023 roadmap not been completed and are no longer mentioned in the February 2024 roadmap? Are those items, including updated physics and ground clearance and aftermarket performance tuners, no longer feasible?
Yeah, so I think it's important to remember that when we launched the first roadmap, even about 2 years ago or so, we wanted to make it clear that we do not necessarily want to, stick to the particular plan that we list in the roadmap, in the written one. And things will change. We've mentioned it in the disclaimer that things will change depending on a lot of things. But it depends on the team size. It depends on the business requirements. There are just so many things that can influence what will work and what will be worked on in the roadmap or not. But I will focus here specifically on your two questions about physics update and the tuner cars. So with the tuner cars, it's important to understand that this is mostly a licensing thing, right? So just like adding any new brand to the game, for example, you do have to license all these tuner cars. So it's actually not exactly in the team's hands to make progress on this. So what you can get from it, I suppose, is the fact that there hasn't been all that much progress with licensing the tuner cars, but is definitely still on the cards for us. When it comes to physics, again, this is a rather complicated work, and it does have a lot of implications, as you can imagine, on the game, changing the physics of the game. This would probably be one of the biggest changes ever to be done with Top Drives. So at the moment, on the roadmap, we have a total of about 16 different items, and this is the best we can give right now. We will finish with those items, and then we will see how things go. Obviously, as a disclaimer, things can still change, and maybe something happens that brings the physics update a little bit closer. But at the moment, things stand as they are. And just as a bit of a side note, there have been certain sort of changes to how we prioritize various features in our backlog in the past in 2024. And we do, as mentioned in the roadmap, we'll be focusing much more on some smaller quality of life features and improvements. The update 21.3 that we have just released, as you could see, it has quite a few various minor improvements, just like the previous one, the 21.2. So that's where things stand right now. I would not be expecting physics update or tuning cars very soon. Probably not this year, but things might change.
Okay, cool. That's a nice update.
And then the reason we didn't include it is just because we didn't want to keep talking about this on the time and bringing it on the written roadmap again and again. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to keep it clean.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think when we put that originally in the roadmap, it seemed more feasible at the time. Plans changed, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the next question here. This one comes from Absinthe FTW, another staple of our Discord server, and they ask, what about a change for event ending times? This would improve my game life balance extremely. Do you still work on it? Will that come someday?
So the work on this feature continues. It was already implemented in Top Drives on several occasions, but there were some issues with it, bugs. yeah, as soon as we are happy with that the feature works as intended, we will move all events towards this. Towards their mid evening end times for most players across all of our free servers. So yeah, just you can expect something on this quite soon. Yeah.
Cool. All right, it sounds pretty promising then. Moving swiftly onwards from the Renettes, we have will car rarity changes be a more common occurrence, or is that something that's only done as little as possible?
Yeah, so we do appreciate how important car rarity changes are for you, for players, given just the sheer amount of cars that we have in top drives. And the first time we did car rarity change was, I think, August 2022, so nearly 2 years ago, actually. And those players who were around at the time, they would remember that it didn't work very
Not quite as we wanted.
Yeah, pretty much. So there were some issues. So we do want to make sure that it works better this time. Just to be clear, I mean, on the roadmap, it might seem that it's not coming quite soon, but it is actually it's sort of quite short to midterm on our plans. So we are planning to bring it rather soon. And when it comes to being more common, at the moment we're not really thinking about that. We're just thinking about rolling it this year. And we'll see how that goes. It's a bit difficult to predict if the cars are rated correctly. Then we might not need it. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, this is a big change, and it's a big rebalancing. So ideally, we would not want to be doing that very often.
Cool. Okay. Thanks for your answer on that one. Seemed pretty concise. Coming up next from Affable Elf, we have: why is there no planned development with clubs on the roadmap? Has that not been recognized by players as one of the areas most needing change, such as from the recent surveys conducted?
Yeah, clubs. Clubs have been in the game for a long time, and we have not brought any changes to it. Although we recognize that this is one of the main avenues for players to earn cash in the game. But it's important to understand we have hundreds of various features of various sizes, big, small, on our backlog, and we use since recently we've been using a particular system to sort of evaluate the value of work versus the actual effort needed to make it to produce it. And when at the moment, club events are just not high up on the list for us. I know this might seem quite unfortunate for a lot of players, but this is just what it is. They are not a high priority. We have fairly limited resources on the team right now, so we want to make sure that the items that are on the roadmap are prioritized. So in this regard, we try to give you as much predictability as possible with this recent update. But no, going back to your question, the club events, we're not looking at them soon. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Coming up next from Taz, we have the hill climb icons on rounds are a step in the right direction. That's a feature I believe we just introduced in our latest update. Will we eventually see a percentage breakdown on surfaces, i.e. rallycross medium, dirt 40%, asphalt 60%?
So yeah, like I mentioned, we do value features based on their value versus effort required. And although we would love to do that, we have evaluated the work, and we do not believe this is going to be high priority because it will involve quite a lot of work for us to implement this. Eventually, why not? But not now. Not now.
Cool. Okay.
But it's great that you're noticing the fact that we are bringing some quality of life stuff in the updates.
Yeah, I think that's been quite a bit of a focus recently, right? I think there was quite a few quality of life updates in 21.3, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and there's far more to expect as well. A lot of the sort of accessibility and all these small things that give you better understanding and information about what should be happening in races. all of this we're working on quite actively right now, and 2024 is definitely going to be a big year for this.
Okay, this question comes from Dr. Pepperidge, who asks, are you going to further expand RQ limits? In Legendaries, you clearly see the advantages when you go up or down 1 point in RQ, while it's fuzzy in commons, uncommons, and rares.
Yeah, so great question. Obviously, we have brought the latest, the last, and the only one actually, RQ expansion in May 2020. The game's been around since September 2017, so it's now been longer since our previous RQ expansion than the period before that. It was 30 RQ max for cars before that. We have expanded that to 100. And in the past couple of year or two, you've been noticing that some cars, they get some really unusual values on their RQ. So at the moment, there are no current plans to increase that. Although I appreciate that there might be some confusion on the sort of lower RQ scale for common cars and such. We appreciate your concern about this, but there are currently no plans to be doing anything about this.
Cool, okay. The next question comes from Ruffle Waffles, who asks, is there any possibility of returning to some sort of schedule of alternation between new, rerun, and GT, or at the very least Tri-and GT series, that the players can rely on? There are hundreds of cars that have yet to see their second or third release in years, and a consistent schedule would give them their chance to shine again.
Yeah, so we appreciate that there are a lot of prize cars in top drives, but there are far more prize cars than there are opportunities to award them throughout the year. And you're right that previously we used to have a sort of schedule where we would award, a new prize car, and then 2 weeks after it would be a rerun, and then a new prize car, a rerun, and this lasted for quite some time, and it has changed in the past years due to introduction of GT series, but also us getting out of that schedule because we wanted to make sure that Tri series run better, especially once we started having some of these connectivity issues and server issues, because we do want to make sure that you get the best experience. At the moment we do not expect to get back to our previous schedule, but we are thinking about bringing some kind of prize car exchange where you could perhaps earn some kind of points and then exchange them for prize cars in this sort of store. And in fact, I think I spoke to Robin, and he said that he might actually be bringing that fairly soon. So just keep your eyes peeled, I suppose. But no, we were quite unlikely to be going back to our old schedule.
Sounds exciting. The next question comes from Ocelot, perhaps. Some interesting way to earn cash except for grinding of clubs. So are we going to see any other ways to earn cash in the game, essentially?
So there are 4 current ways in the game to earn in-game cash. One of them is daily reward. There are event prize boards. There are clubs, obviously. And we also award some cash in certain challenges. The simple answer is we are not expecting to change this anytime soon.
Okay, pretty simple answer there. The next one comes from Jivoreb, I believe, Jivoreb1, who asks, did licensing cars get easier since you partnered up with Forza Turn 10 and Microsoft? This, of course, referring to Hutch's other game they released recently, Forza Customs.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question. Thank you for that. But no, the fact that we have partnered with Turn 10 for some of our games here at Hutch, it doesn't really mean anything for top drives. It's important to understand that they are licensing cars for other games. Our licensing team is licensing cars for other games, but that not only includes cars that are being added, but also loads of other things, such as the visual assets. Like if you take the patch notes image that we provide, this needs to be licensed. So every single item that you can see from us that has some kind of a brand on it has to be licensed. So we have expanded the licensing team quite significantly in the past 2 years to allow for a more streamlined process on this. and it certainly helps a lot. You can see even the in-game panels that we I think it was it Year of the Dragon, or I think it was Year of the Dragon that had Porsche in it. So obviously all of these images had to be licensed. We cannot just take some kind of render from a Porsche and just put it in there. And then the licensing process is quite rigorous as well. It requires a lot of back and forth. It needs approvals. It needs timelines. So it's rather difficult actually, and it needs to be done on a very high level, because if you don't, you can get yourself into trouble. So the fact that we've partnered with Turn 10 does not really mean anything for us, because for Top Drive specifically, because it is just only about the Forza customers that they're in any way involved with us through the Forza customers.
Cool. Okay. The next question comes from Panagiotis2814. And they ask, collector's challenges were fun and rewarding to players that were trying to keep all cars in their garage, or at least all cars from one brand. Why did you get rid of that?
Well, we put it out, all the content we can in challenges. We have different ways of looking at what challenges are working and have the most interest. We think about new formats and changes essentially all the time, but right now we have Year of the Dragon and World Series, so you really shouldn't be too short on content actually. I think I've seen quite a few people on Discord saying that there's actually just too much stuff right now. So we're always looking for ways to add more different challenges that feel differently from each other, but we don't want to put out too much. So perhaps these will come back soon. So
depending on the content schedule.
Yeah, essentially, yes. Yeah. I don't really I've not seen any sort of live op schedule that mentions them, but we never say never, essentially.
And for our last question of the day from Nobody Plays, who asks, is the new campaign in the last part going to be another Yellowbird / Skyline series type campaign where you have to finish the previous ones before it?
Yeah, so for a veteran players, this is an obvious answer. You're confusing championships and campaigns. Campaign was the very first single player piece that we have introduced in the game when it was shortly, I think, after it was released. Championships came later, and then they award you a specific prize card, and they are focused sort of around that prize card. No, we have one campaign and 2 championships, but we are working specifically on a new campaign, and it will be very similar to the old one, but it will just have you will probably be required to be a certain RQ level to unlock it, and perhaps even unlock different parts of it. So it's good news is that it's in development, and you should be able to expect great news quite soon.
That's pretty exciting then. And that's going to be something that we haven't done essentially since the launch of the game then. So that's a really big update. Cool.
Yeah, just more permanent single player content for everyone.
Great. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the list of questions we've got at the moment. If your question didn't get answered, sorry about that, but there are going to be more of these.
Yeah, later. We'll just do a Q&A after this Q&A,
Yeah, exactly.
Q&A responding to this Q&A.
Infinite Q&As forever. But thank you to everybody who asked a question, and thank you all for reading the roadmap and supporting us and keeping up. We really appreciate the passion you guys have for the game, as always. If you haven't already joined our Discord server, please do jump in there. It's a great way to chat with us, the game team, to other Top Drive players as well. So it's a lot of fun. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.